All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a book from way back in 1774, Goethe's The Sorrows of Young Werther. And this thing, it wasn't just a bestseller. No, it was a full-blown cultural firestorm. It literally set Europe ablaze.
And I am not exaggerating one bit. When this book came out, people thought it was genuinely dangerous. I'm talking fashion trends, huge public debates, and tragically, even a wave of copycat suicides. So you have to ask, why? What on earth made this story so explosive?
Well, to really get it, you have to understand the world it was born into. It was a cultural war zone. This book wasn't just a story, it was a declaration. It was the rebellion of the heart, fighting back against the tyranny of the mind.
And this pretty much lays out the battle lines for you. On one side, you've got the Enlightenment, the establishment. They were all about reason, order, doing your social duty, thinking about the collective. And then, boom. On the other side, you have this new radical movement called Sturm und Drang, that's storm and stress. And they were all about raw feeling, the idea of the original genius and pure unadulterated rebellion. And Werther was their masterpiece.
So how did Goethe pull this off? How did he make this rebellion feel so real, so immediate? Well, it all starts with the very structure of the novel. The way he built it was its first truly radical act. He basically invites you, the reader, directly into Werther's mind.
See, the book is what you call an epistolary novel. That's just a fancy way of saying it's told entirely through letters, Werther's letters. So what does that do? It completely gets rid of the traditional narrator. There's no one standing between you and him telling you what to think. It's a direct line into his head, which, for the time, created this incredible, almost uncomfortable sense of psychological realism. And this quote just nails the effect, right? You aren't just a fly on the wall watching this guy's life unfold. No, Goethe makes you his confidant. You are reading his private mail. You're being let in on his most sacred and his most frantic inner thoughts. It's intense.
Now, this is absolutely crucial to understanding the book. All this intense emotion from Werther, it wasn't seen as a weakness back then. He's the poster boy for this ideal called Empfindsamkeit, or sensibility. The idea was that having the capacity for these deep, powerful, overwhelming feelings, well, that was a sign of a superior soul. It meant you had real moral and spiritual depth.
And in the beginning, you really see this sensibility in full force. When Werther looks at the world around him, he doesn't just see pretty trees and hills. For him, nature is a theater of the soul. It's this perfect mirror of his own hope and harmony. It's almost a religious experience for him.
But you knew there was a but coming, right? This beautiful, private world of feeling is about to smash head-on into the cold, hard world of reason. And this isn't just a plot point. It's a full-blown philosophical duel played out by the novel's main characters.
Okay, so let's meet our players. First up, obviously, is Werther, our man of sensibility, driven by pure passion. Then there's Lotte, the woman he's obsessed with. She's the beautiful soul. She has this natural grace, but she's also bound by her duty to society. And finally, you have Albert, her fiancé. Now, he's not a bad guy, not at all. He's just the total opposite of Werther. He's the Enlightenment man, orderly, rational, and totally respectable.
The real tension between Werther and Albert just explodes in this incredible debate they have over suicide. And yeah, for that time, this was the most taboo subject you could possibly imagine. This argument isn't just a side plot. It is the philosophical heart of the entire book. So Albert lays out the Enlightenment case, right? Suicide is a failure of reason. It's abandoning your moral and social duty. But Werther's comeback is what was so radical. He argues that the mind can have terminal illnesses, just like the body. And he says that sometimes an individual's suffering can become so immense that it completely outweighs any duty to society. He's basically claiming the right to his own despair, which was an absolutely shocking idea.
But Werther's problems aren't just in his head or in his heart. He's also clashing with the incredibly rigid social structures of the 18th century. He's stuck in a social cage.
The real turning point, the moment it all starts to unravel, happens at a royal court. He's at this gathering, and he's publicly asked to leave, just because he's middle class and everyone else is nobility. It's a devastating, public humiliation.
And this scene just perfectly captures the social trap he's in. Here he is, part of this rising, educated middle class. He's got all this intellectual depth, this emotional intensity, what the Sturm und Drang movement would call genius. But the system, the hereditary aristocracy, has no place for him. They deny him respect, so this world he wants to be a part of literally kicks him out.
So after that social rejection, his psychological freefall just speeds up. And as his own mind starts to fracture, the world around him, the world he once saw as so beautiful, starts to break apart too.
Remember that beautiful Eden we talked about at the beginning? Yeah, that's gone. As Werther's mind plunges into darkness, he looks at that same nature and no longer sees God. He sees a monster that eternally devours itself. It becomes this terrifying, destructive force. You can even track his downfall by what he's reading. The book starts with him loving the bright, sun-drenched classics like Homer, but by the end, he's completely obsessed with the poems of Ossian. Now, back in the 1770s, Ossian was the peak of noble melancholy, all misty, ghost-filled, tragic epics. That shift says it all. The joy is gone. And his whole descent just leads him to this one final, bleak conclusion. As his world gets smaller and all his options vanish, Werther decides that sorrow isn't just a feeling, it's the only real truth there is.
So, that brings us to the end, the shocking climax of the novel, and it is so important to see this through the eyes of the Sturm und Drang movement. Werther's final act, it's not meant to be seen as a surrender, it's his last radical act of rebellion against a world that he just doesn't fit into.
And just look at the details here, because every single one is a deliberate act of defiance. First, the weapon. He uses Albert's pistols. He's literally using the tools of the rational man to end it all. Second, the death itself. It's not romantic. It's described in stark, realistic detail as a slow, awful 12-hour ordeal. And finally, the burial. He's denied a Christian burial. No priest, nothing. Society casts him out completely, even in death.
So what's the message here? Goethe's ending is all about championing the sovereignty of the individual. In a world that couldn't handle the sheer intensity of his heart, the tortured self gets the final, defiant word.
And that leaves us with a question that feels just as sharp today as it must have in 1774. In a world that demands order, that demands we all fit in, what is the true cost of an individual heart? It's the question Werther screams at us from across the centuries, and maybe one we're still trying to figure out.